right, today we're going to begin our unit on patterns. Our big idea for this unit is describing patterns in tables and graphs can help us to solve problems and describe the world. Our concept for today is to demonstrate an understanding that given patterns can be used to complete a table. So the pattern being given to you, you're using it to complete the table. All right, so let's take a look at this input-output machine. Assuming you put something into the machine does something to it, and it comes out as a new number. Really, it's just applying the rule. So if we look at this input-output machine, if we were to put any number into it, for example, let's try 6, the input would be 6 times 5, which is the rule, and the output then would be 30. You could apply this same rule to other input numbers. Assume your input was 9, multiplied by 5, your output then would be 45. So our rule really is multiply by 5, which then gives us our output. All right, for example, here we have another input-output machine or another rule. In this case, we are asked to add 8 each time. The pattern rule here relates the input to the output. So what we do to the input gives us our new output. We notice that our input increases by 1. So our input to input kind of a rule would be plus 1 each time here. Whereas our output to output rule is also adding 1 each time. So how would we differentiate? Well, we would have to say here we started at 1 plus 1 each time for the input rule. Our output to output rule, we would have to say we started at 9 and added 1 each time. So being able to tell where it started also makes it more specific. So being able to tell where it started, how the rule applied, and making sure you are specific about what kind of a rule is it. Is it an input to output rule? Is it an input to input rule? Or is it an output to output rule? Sometimes our rule or our input-output machine has 2 steps. In this case, it's asking us to multiply by 2 first and then add 6. So our input, whatever it is, we would apply those rules to. So if our input is 2, we're going to times 2, which is 4 plus 6, which gives us 10. So that makes it our output. And apply that same rule each time to get from the input to the output. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 6 is 14, and so on. Now, we could also look again at the input to input rule, and here we can see that it's increasing by 2 each time, so plus 2, and we're starting at 2. Starting at 2, add 2 each time. The output to output rule, we can see that it's increasing by 4 each time, and we're starting at 10. Starting at 10, adding 4 each time. So that's our input to input rule and our output to output rule and our input to output rule. So remember, there are 3 types of rules. There are input to input rules, output to output rules, and input to output rules. Be very careful which rule the question is asking for. Here we're going to have one to practice. Here we have an input, actually 2 input to output machines. Complete the table. This is our inputs. Complete the table for rule A. Complete the table for rule B. Write the pattern rule that relates the input to the output. So the rule for input to output. Write the rule for input to input. And then finally write the rule for the output to the output. Make sure you include all 3 rules. Press pause and give it a try now. All right, so let's take a look. This is A, multiplying 9 each time from our input to our output. So our input was 1 times 9, 2 times 9 is 18, 3 times 9 is 27, 4 times 9 is 36, and 5 times 9 is 45. We need the input to output rule. Well, it was adding 9, so plus 9. When you are writing an input rule, a rule to be specific, you should say input to output is adding 9. But because I don't have enough room, I've shorthanded it here. Input to input rule, what do you notice is happening here each time? Well, from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, we're adding 1 each time, starting at 1. So starting at 1, adding 1 each time, making sure you're that specific. Again, output to output rule, well, output to output, what we're noticing each time is we're adding 9. Starting at 9, adding 9 each time. So output to output rule is starting at 9, adding 9 each time. Press pause now and try the second one. All right, let's take a look. It's plus 12. Well, 1 plus 12 would be 12, 2 plus 12 would be 24, 3 plus 12 would be 36, 4 plus 12 would be 48, and 5 plus 12 would be 60. So our input to output rule is adding 12. Our input to input rule is starting at 1 and adding 1 each time. Ooh, barely enough room. And then our output to output rule is starting at 12, adding 12 each time. All right, now you're ready for your concept practice. You are working on page 8 and 9, numbers 2, 5, 6, and 8, given patterns and using them to complete the table. Remember, if you have any questions along the way, that you please ask.